Hello and welcome to the Tarnished Badge, where we bring you stories each week about the Minneapolis Police Department. I understand that not all police officers are bad, but this podcast is to bring attention to the officers who are tarnishing the badge and making other officers look bad. Perhaps the tarnished badge is a bit harsh, but let's explore what the definition of tarnished is. Tarnished, to lose or cause to lose luster, especially as a result of exposure to air or moisture. In the case of the Minneapolis Police Department, air and moisture can be replaced with discrimination and brutality to make or become less valuable or respected. Once a police officer has violated his oath of office, he has already, in my eyes, lost all respect and has become less valuable, therefore tarnishing the badge and the institution they stand for. The oath of a police officer that was adopted as late as June 2020 is as follows. I, insert name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Minnesota, and the charter and ordinances of the city of Minneapolis. That I shall, in recognition of my service as a peacekeeper, first, do no harm, that I will uphold and safeguard the sanctity of life, and that I will shield and protect my community from those who wish to do harm. That I shall intervene and protest, both verbally and physically, if I witness anyone violating another's rights. And lastly, that I recognize those I serve as members of the human family, worthy of dignity and respect. And my term in office shall be guided by my love of service to the community and the grace of humanity. Now, the funny thing is, I tried to find the oath of office for a police officer that was adopted prior to June 2020, and I couldn't find one. Perhaps it didn't exist. Perhaps that is what the problem was with the city of Minneapolis Police Department. They didn't have an oath to uphold. But you would think that common sense and respect would be enough. But I guess there isn't an office for that, is there? Now, our first story starts with a well known tragedy that occurred in 2021 that pretty much brought the city of Minneapolis to its knees. And that was the senseless murder and manslaughter of George Floyd. Straight from the headlines of KARE 11 News, the Department of Justice's investigation was announced in April 2021, one day after former Minneapolis Police Officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. Now, many people may argue if George had not been there passing counterfeit money, or if he had just simply got in the police car as he was instructed, then he would still be alive today. Or would he? Have you ever had to deal with the Minneapolis Police Department or any of its officers? Sure, if you're a white man, they probably wouldn't have treated you as they did Mr. Floyd. But I, as a Caucasian male in my 50s, dealt with the police, and I can tell you that I felt like shit. No, I'm sorry, flies on shit. And not because I was the perpetrator, but because I was the victim. I was asking the police for help. From having my neighbors trying to destroy my property and my home to a motor vehicle accident report falsified where I was hit by a woman going 40 miles an hour on an icy road back in March of this year, to the latest where I was robbed by my roommates and their mother. I have been laughed at. I have been told to basically shut the hell up when trying to get help. From a police officer, a person wearing a badge who has sworn an oath to serve and to protect and to serve everyone with grace and humility. Now, in the findings of the DOJ's investigation, it was shown that there was a history of discrimination against the Black and Native American communities. From their excessive use of force when pulling someone over, violating First Amendment rights, and even abusing the mentally ill and handicapped. That report came out 2 years ago. At that time, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey stated, "Today marks an essential step toward community trust and community safety." Well, in my opinion, and the way I have been treated by a Caucasian male in my 50s, nothing has changed. The police are just as arrogant as they were back then. They even laugh at you when your rights and your property and your pursuits of happiness are being trampled. And that brings you to why I have decided to create this profile, to create this podcast, to reach out to other people who are dealing with the Minneapolis Police Department and how dealing with them not only as a victim, but then you get victimized all over again. Now, on Tuesday, November 14th, while I was working in my home, in my office, my roommates Caleb Werner and Jason Lindman, with their mother Pat, decided they were going to take whatever they wanted right from under my nose. So after clearing out my cupboards and fridge for their road trip to Fargo, North Dakota, Caleb decided to come to my office and ask for gas money so that he could go to the bank and get money for rent. But he never intended to do that. I gave him the last $2 I had cash on me, knowing that I was not going to see it again. But I tried to give him the benefit of doubt. I tried to believe him that he was not going to screw me over again. But not only was I a fool there, but within 10 minutes of giving him the last $2 that I had, he decided that wasn't enough. He came back into my office, seeing my wallet sitting there, decided to take it. My bank cards, my IDs, everything. Caleb left and he never came back with rent money. The three of them, already high on meth, took off. At least he left me my keys. I gotta hand that to him for that, at least. That he decided, well, I'm gonna be nice so he doesn't have to change the locks. So I'm just gonna leave the keys here. Oh, what a fucking fool I was to believe that. Now, upon realizing this, I called 911. They told me, oh, that's not an emergency. You need to call 311. So I called 311. Sorry, that's not an emergency. You need to go online and file a police report. Getting frustrated, I decided to walk over to Nicollet and 31st to go to the police department, to go in and try to file a report with their photos, with the description of their vehicle, with their license plate number. They were still in the county as far as I knew. They could have been captured. And what happens? I sit there for 20 minutes ringing a bell while the whole time there was a phone going off inside. Nobody was answering it. There was nobody there. It was like a ghost town. And all I could think of was, I hope nobody's in harm. Nobody's in a dangerous situation and they have to get a hold of the police department. Because half the time you can't even get a hold of 911, much less 311. So after walking around to the other side of the building, I finally got let in. And I sat there trying to get somebody's attention to come out and talk to me. I was frustrated already by calling 911 and 311, being told that my situation wasn't important. So finally, somebody came out and told me to shut up that they're in the middle of shift change, and when somebody finally gets to you, they'll get to you. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is our Minneapolis Police Department. While I was sitting there waiting for somebody to come out and talk to me, there was a gentleman, at least 70 something years old, and he was trying to get help because he had a video from his home security camera of three people trying to break into his house. When he finally did talk to this desk sergeant, she acted like she couldn't be bothered, like it was a waste of her time. All I could hear her say, well, what do you want us to do? And the poor guy had to keep repeating himself. Like he didn't want to get harmed. He didn't want somebody breaking in his house, but they didn't care. I guess because it wasn't happening that very second, they weren't interested in helping. So I went back home being frustrated and realizing that the police don't care. I came back and I went online to fill out the police report. And I don't know if any of you have ever filed a police report online, but there is not enough information. There's not enough space to put your information. And they give you like 30 minutes to fill out the whole thing. You're already stressed out. You're having to correct it. And you don't know what to do. And there's no spot on there for the perpetrator. Caleb Werner, license plate number, description of the vehicle, nothing. And so after filling it out and submitting it, I ended up calling back 311 and 911, telling them that I needed to add more information that was important so that they could catch them. And I was told, well, they'll get it within 24 to 48 hours. If they deem it necessary and they need more information, they'll contact you. I'm like, are you kidding me? So after a few choice words, I hung up and decided I'm done. And that I would contact the FBI the next day, contact the media, contact somebody that would take something serious. Because the Minneapolis Police Department doesn't. They don't care. And I feel like that my hands are tied. Now, the very next day, as I'm home trying to relax, trying to figure out what I'm going to do, Caleb decided to text me, like out of the blue, telling me that, oh, I'm sorry, I was in Fargo, North Dakota. I didn't have any Wi Fi, and I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal your wallet. I wouldn't do that to you. I appreciate you. I care about you. I like you, Shawn. And I'm like, really? So you took off knowing that you needed to pay rent. You took off with my wallet, and you can't tell me that you did it because you're the only one that was in my office this morning. And he just probably still high on meth went on a rant telling me that I was crazy and that he was going to do whatever and that the police couldn't touch him because he worked for the police department and that Park Avenue Treatment Center wasn't going to do anything, even though he was sitting there creating false documents for stating that he was getting money from Park Avenue so that he could pay rent. But I contacted Park Avenue and they won't even help me. This is just another one of their success stories. Caleb Werner getting out to be able to go and scam more people for more drug money. When I don't know what to do. This is just it's frustrating. It's aggravating. I can understand why people are giving up on the police department, on believing in the community, and wanting to support the police department because the police department is not supporting the citizens at all. The people here. It's like they wear a badge so they can fly around and go through red lights, flashing on their light really quick. just to get through, or so they can measure each other's dicks to see whose is bigger because they wear a badge. The whole thing of respect for the community does not exist in the Minneapolis Police Department. And the sad part about that is that back during the George Floyd situation, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey came out and said, "This is my Minneapolis Police Department, a police department that I'm proud of." Wow, how in the hell did he get reelected? I know I sure the hell didn't vote for him. After that comment, having a mayor like that thinks it's okay for their police department to do what they're doing, that that's that's like Donald Trump saying yay to Putin for destroying um, other countries around him and the Ukraine. That's like Trump saying that Hamas is a great organization. No, the Minneapolis Police Department is not a great organization. They do not believe in upholding their oath in office. They laugh at you when you're trying to get help. They ignore you. They walk away from you. They roll their eyes and their thumbs. But you know what? The sad part isn't even just the Minneapolis Police Department. It's Minneapolis 311. I don't know if you know what Minneapolis 311 is, but it's a remote access point for all non emergency information and service requests. They are only open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. unless you have to file a police report. Then you can only do that between 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So if you have somebody steal your car or break into your house or steal your stuff off your property and you have the information, you know who did it, and it's Friday night at 6 o'clock, guess what? They're going to get away. They're already gone because you can't do anything about it until Monday at 8 o'clock, giving them a whole weekend to do whatever they want. They can turn around and resell it for drugs. They can take it across state lines, which now is in the Minneapolis jurisdiction or even in the state of Minnesota's jurisdiction. So they don't care. Well, it's out of our hands. There's nothing we can do. Sorry. You should have told us so sooner. But you tried to. You tried to contact the police and nothing happens. So you contact 311. And even if you're able to get a hold of anybody at 311, you're on hold for 15, 20, 25 minutes. And even then, when they come online, they act like they have the authority to sit there and tell you what if your inquiry is even important enough for you to be directed to the agency or department you're looking for. Uh, in my opinion, Minneapolis 311 should have no authority whatsoever in any legal capacity because they're not trained. But yet, they're sitting there taking police reports. And yet, they're telling you, oh, well, we don't care. Go online. Go online and fill it out. That's not an important emergency. You know that this. You know, I love the city of Minneapolis. I grew up most of my life in Minnesota, and years ago when I was living in St. Paul, it was awesome. And then I leave and come back, and what happened? It's like Trump took over every agency, every department, especially in the police department, in the mayor's office, in the internal affairs. And that's another story to tell you. The the situation that I have with the internal affairs and the office of the police conduct review over police officers falsifying police reports. That again is another issue with their oath of office to treat everybody with respect and to be honest in their everyday dealings. But that's for next time. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent and scare people away. But but in closing here, my friends, I'd like to thank you all for showing up, for listening to my podcast. And should you have any issues whatsoever with Minneapolis Police Department, St. Paul Police Department, any police department that you feel is violating their oath of office, contact me. Send me an email at tarnished.badge24@gmail.com and let me put your story out there. We can keep it anonymous, but people need to know what's going on so everybody can come together and say, hey, I'm not the only one dealing with this. I'm not the only one that's being turned away by the police department in Minneapolis 311 because they don't deem my situation an emergency or an important at all. It's I don't know. It's mind blowing to know that people that you count on, you can't count on. That you're on your own. That we have to start picking up sticks and rocks like in the old days to protect ourselves from people robbing us or from neighbors trying to destroy your house or drunk drivers flying all over the place, crashing into cars, killing people. Because why? It's not important. The police department in Minneapolis doesn't feel anything is important to them unless it happens to them or unless they can get in the media showing that, oh, we did this, look what we're doing. Like showing up in the middle of gay pride last year. It's like, why are you here? You try to say you're for the community, but you're not. You don't care about the community. I see a cop now, and all I can see is a rusted badge. All I can see is somebody that's arrogant and snide, that doesn't care about my rights, that is just gonna laugh at me. I'm at the point now that if I ever get robbed again or I get mugged on the street, I'm not gonna call the cops. I'm gonna go find a gangster. I'm gonna find a vigilante and have that and tell them who did it. I'll pay somebody since my taxes are being paid to the police department anyways. That's not doing anything. I might as well pay somebody that's gonna do something. So, folks, we have to start coming together. We have to get it all out there in the media. I contacted WCCO News. Walked up on a broadcast over by Kmart on Nicollet, and the most important thing that they had going on was that, oh, Kmart's coming down. But they don't care of what the police are doing. As they didn't want to hear it. We're not interested. And WCCO News, they're only interested if there's a body involved. Well, the police keep going the way they're going, there's going to be more bodies involved because there's nobody there to encourage them or enforce them to uphold their oath of office. Mayor Jacob Frey already stated how proud of his police department he is and how we're one step closer to community peace and community safety. No, we're not. Come out of your ivory tower, dude, and look around you. Look at your city of Minneapolis. You know, we got homeless people out there everywhere that are breaking into places. But hey, oh well, right? If we can't shoot them, we're not going to come there and help anybody. Yeah, I'm pretty dramatic right now, but I still feel very violated. Not only by Caleb and Jason and their mother, who I helped out and supported and tried to encourage them to get off drugs, but then to have them rob me, and then to have the police and Minneapolis 311 tell me that it wasn't important, and that to file a police report and maybe somebody might get back with me in 2 to 3 days. That's like a rape victim being re-raped over and over and over again. And that's our Minneapolis Police Department. So until next time, friends, watch out for each other. Have a great day.